Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We had some interesting news today. Dana White did an interview where he basically said the UFC was looking to schedule Israel Adesanya to fight at UFC 263, defend his middleweight belt, and be the headliner for that event. And obviously, Robert Whittaker is the clear-cut number one contender, so the fight to make is Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker 2 for the middleweight belt. But, as you know, Robert Whittaker just fought less than a week ago. He fought Kelvin Gastelum. So that's a super quick turnaround for him. Robert Whittaker in the past has shown that he doesn't like to do these type of quick turnarounds. He likes to have some time off, and this would be back-to-back training camps in this event. So it just doesn't look like it's probably going to work out, which sucks because Robert Whittaker is the clear-cut number one contender. He lost his belt to Adesanya. He went out there and won 3 fights against top guys in dominant fashion. He beat Darren Till. Then he beat Jarrett Cannonier, and then just recently he beat Kelvin Gastelum in probably his best performance. I don't know, because the Jarrett Cannonier fight was pretty good too. So it seems like, according to the interview, basically that they're probably going to give the title fight to Marvin Vettori now. Marvin Vettori's on a 5-fight win streak, but those names are kind of his last win was against Kevin Holland, wasn't super impressive. It wasn't his fault that he was fighting Kevin Holland. He was originally supposed to fight Darren Till, but Darren Till fell out with a collarbone injury. So it kind of wasn't his fault, but still, it just wasn't a super impressive performance. And, the names on his resume on that 5-fight win streak aren't super impressive either. The best name is probably Jack Hermanson, which was last December, which was an absolute amazing fight. But I think this sucks because a lot of people, including me, really wanted to see that Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker too. Robert Whittaker just looks so great in his last few fights. He's worked his way back up. He's built his way back up. He's got quality wins on his resume, and it's time for him to get a rematch for his belt. It's very rare you see a champion go do that. Usually they're begging for an immediate rematch, blah, 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 and, saying they deserve it after one fight. But this guy went out there, knocked off 3 quality names, and deserved it. But it looks like he's going to get passed up as it stands right now because the UFC is looking for headliners right now. UFC 263 is on June 12th. They already tried to make Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis the headliner for that event. It's not that far away. It's less than 2 months away, and a lot of guys like 8-week training camps, Some guys even like 10, 12-week training camps, so it's already getting close. They got to announce a headliner at this point. Francis Ngannou turned it down. He said, he needed more time to get ready. He didn't want to fight back-to-back like that. A lot of guys are like that. They feel like they're compromising themselves fighting back-to-back like that, and they don't get, a equal opportunity to get that belt because they're overworking themselves or whatever it may be. And the UFC right now, they've gone back to live events. UFC 261 happens this weekend in Florida. It will be the first live event, and they need to sell tickets. A lot of the reasons that I think this event this Saturday is so stacked is because they have to sell tickets to live attendance, And this UFC 263 right now, as it stands, the main event would be Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, which is a fight that I absolutely love. Flyweight championship belt is on the line. I love the fight. First fight was amazing. Would love to see it again, but at the end of the day, it's not a main event fight. I know it was a main event in the last one, but they're not selling tickets to that event, so they didn't really care. In this case, they're going to want to have a live crowd and sell tickets to this event in June, so they need like that big headliner, and Israel Adesanya would be perfect. He just lost to Jan Blachowicz in his bid to be double champion at light heavyweight in early March, so he had a little bit of time off. And then he'll get back into training camp, probably already back in training camp, looking to fight in June. And it looks like it's going to be Marvin Vettori, which is crazy because after Robert Whittaker's performance against Kelvin Gastelum, I thought there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the UFC, the event's coming up, and they need main events. If they somehow schedule Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori later than June, I'm going to be disgusted because if they're going to go any later than June, they just need to wait for Robert Whittaker. But I guess if they're doing it in June, it's not really holding up the division. Whittaker said he wants to fight in fall, so September, October type area. So Israel Adesanya can fight Marvin Vettori, possibly win that fight. Then he can still fight in fall, September, October, November area. Still rematch Robert Whittaker for the second, obviously fight him for the second time, and he would still get his title shot. But any later than June, then, that fight probably isn't happening this year. And then I feel bad for Robert Whittaker because if Marvin Vettori somehow pulls off the win against Israel Adesanya is getting that rematch. So then you have Robert Whittaker waiting around till maybe next year to get a potential title shot, for that to clear out, because if Adesanya loses, he's definitely asking for a rematch, and the UFC is definitely going to give it to him. If somehow Vettori wins and Adesanya isn't getting a rematch, Whittaker's going to be middleweight champion, because I heavily favor Whittaker to beat up Marvin Vettori. Just the skill sets. You look at him, Marvin Vettori isn't going to be able to grapple Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker has great grappling defense, great wrestling, and Robert Whittaker's striking is probably second best in the division to Israel Adesanya, as we've seen. He looked absolutely amazing against Kelvin Gastelum. So let me know what you guys think of this news. Are you okay with the Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori fight? I'm a little bit disappointed because after Robert Whittaker's amazing performance, last week against Kelvin Gastelum, I just really was ready to see him back in a middleweight title fight, especially just he has 3 great performances back to back to back. He really did earn this shot. But let me know what you think. I'm curious what anybody else thinks about this. No matter what, I hope that we get to see Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker 2 later this year, regardless of what happens in June for UFC 263. But let me know in the comments. Make sure to like the video. Make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.